Hello, friends. I am at work and I've been working for a little bit, and it's just been a really long day in general. Nothing bad. I just kind of threw my sleep cycle off, stayed up a little bit too late, did not get enough rest in the nighttime. I slept into the day, so I just feel a little bit exhausted, and I just took a second to do this little trance, and then I thought there's some serious value in sharing this with the world. What I feel is that there is a value to meditation, a rejuvenation that occurs through meditation, which is different than what you get from normal sleep. And with some practice, it can actually be more thoroughly reactivating of your energy profile than what you even achieve from hours of sleep. In this moment just now, I went into a trance that was not exactly a normal meditation. It was what it felt like was I was snuggling with the divine, God, or Great Spirit, or whatever you want to call it. I have a connection to that, and I try to cultivate that connection. But even somebody who's outside of any spiritual practice, you could consider the vastness of reality, in an intellectual sense, the same kind of essence as what I would refer to as Great Spirit. Anyhow, I just took a second. It happened, I was just standing in the other room, and I closed my eyes, and I just, I guess, somewhat envisioned that essence. But more so it was a surrender. Felt kind of like a Zen meditation, but it was a little bit different. I just feel like I draw that presence into mind, connect with that divine flow, and it feels very similar to cuddling or snuggling, which sounds kind of silly, but that's why I named this video this. It feels as though you just kind of snuggle up against this profound warmth and bliss. And I've done this through the years, and I noticed that there's a certain level of proficiency that can be developed, and I think that there's a profound skill that could be cultivated. And I think that this is something that the ascended masters, or whatever you want to call them, the badasses through history that really knew what they were doing with energy, I think that they had a very intense connection to the divine, to where in a moment's time they were able to draw immense rejuvenation. And that's what would allow someone to push their limits, whether it's physical exhaustion or emotional, being overwhelmed emotionally. It seems that the closer that we get to this divine connection, the more that we are able to have this. It's like a well. It's like drawing buckets and taking a drink. When I just did it, it really felt like, noticeable physical changes. I'm not just talking about mysticism here. My eyes, I feel just tired, like I feel groggy. I feel like all my vibrations are just tangled from just a long day, and just, like I said, not treating myself well in terms of getting enough rest. But just from a moment of doing that, and I'll even do it right now again, I feel a relaxation coming about my eyes, muscles relaxing. I guess in terms of that vibrational rigidness that I'm sensing, it almost seems like it all gets massaged out. It's like being massaged by the divine waters. And I wanted to make a little short video referencing this, because it does seem a little bit different than what I achieved through just meditation. Zen meditation is very rejuvenating, just letting go and allowing everything to move towards balance. But it seems that the more that I've cultivated this active connection consciously to the divine, the more that I am able to draw magnitudes more energy and rejuvenation from short amounts of time. And it's kind of exciting to consider. I notice it happens sometimes when I'm biking or pushing myself physically. It's not always in a rested situation. I might be really exhausted, like let's say I'm biking 10 miles, which I do regularly, and let's say I'm 3 miles into it, and I'm like, just feeling exhausted, not really digging this, and that suffering sets in. And what that suffering does is it detaches me. It naturally clouds our connection to this divine, this oneness, if you will. And if I take a moment to see through that suffering, just kind of ground myself and feel that connection to the divine, all of a sudden the whole emotional layer is wiped clean, and I find myself a lot more at peace than what I felt just a moment before. And it seems magical in a sense, and I don't want to overuse or water down that word, but it's a practice that seems to create an immense change in the conscious experience of mind and emotions, as well as even the noticeable sensations of the physical body. So from doing this through years and getting better at it, I guess, in terms of being able to achieve more results with a shorter amount of time, it leads me to believe that this is something that has been mastered or achieved significantly more than what I'm currently touching on. And I think that this is something that maybe, monks that have all these crazy abilities, and especially you go back into, ancient times and Jesus and Buddha type legends. I think that these people, these legendary people, had an active connection to the divine, where it was essentially like if I blended this technique here, like let's say this technique that I'm describing, this snuggling with the divine, let's say I was to practice this for 20 years, and really get good at it to where in a second I can just completely change my whole perspective from just tuning in that way. And then also I bring that practice into the daily life more and more, just like meditation, just like Zen, how you can go into a Zen trance, but you can also maintain that Zen disposition in your daily life. And that's really the quest of meditation, in my opinion, or the quest of enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it. It's about really living in a meditative state, staying tuned in, staying on that frequency. So if we think of that in application to what I'm describing with this divine snuggling meditation, if one was to cultivate this practice enough to where they really do have a intense ability to draw change of potentials from the divine, from that moment of connection, and then they stretch that into their conscious waking lives, I think that that's really where the potential for extremely profound things like the idea of miracles, and something that's significantly beyond my own abilities and not something that I'm seeking. I'm not trying to do magic or anything in particular, but I can't help but think that this might be one of the alchemical ingredients in the formula which is what those ancient masters were tapping into and living with. They cultivated a connection to the divine which was stabilized to where they never really walked away, and in doing so they maybe lived in this river of rejuvenation where all the norms of wear and tear and the disharmonies of our normal disposition do not exist in the same sense. Perhaps they dissolve entirely, and that's what the idea of walking hand in hand with God or something is. And like anything, I don't think there's ever a completion. I don't think that there is an enlightenment, like a finality where, all right, you're done, you're enlightened. Everything is layers and a quest. However, if somebody was to maintain this connection to the divine and be able to keep that going all the time and experience these profound psychological, physiological changes that I'm noticing from this practice, they were able to keep that going all the time, perhaps it opens this door for this whole nother layer of whether it's energy work, whether it's the ability to push your body further, or whether it's something extremely profound like the idea of miracles. I think that this might be something that lies at the foundation and is something that we have overlooked. It seems like there's a separation between meditation and I almost want to say spirituality, which seems kind of like a oxymoronic statement, but there's, like, Buddhism, for instance, doesn't really touch on the idea of divine essence. It's really just about cultivating the mind and getting to the point of being free of suffering, which is beautiful in its own way. But personally, I feel very drawn to the more, I guess, theistic approach, actually connecting with what I consider to be God or Great Spirit, this essence that just seems everywhere, and I can feel an intuitive connection to it. Perhaps by transcending the dogmatic institutional crap of what theism has turned into, as well as cultivating and practicing these meditations and really accessing the full potential of our divine facilities in our own being, perhaps that formula of combining these two elements is something that the ancients were more in tune with, and is something that is somewhat lacking in modern spiritualist approaches. So, all that being said, I'm going to do this meditation again, and I would welcome you guys to join me for a moment. Just relax, let all your vibrations out, and then feel your connection to the divine. Feel embraced by it, the warmth, the safety. Wow, feel magnitudes better again. It's powerful stuff for me. What's a final point I want to touch on is I've been thinking a lot in the past year that I think enlightenment is kind of the default human experience. It's our conditioning and our own entanglements and disharmonies which cause the experience of non-enlightenment or distance from this divine. And I think that's relevant to this practice, in that state, that sitting in the warm hands of the divine feels very natural, and it's really only this conditioned distance, this this illusory boundary of the self, that the shell that we create through, whether you want to call it the ego or the boundaries of the mind, it seems that is what creates this sensation of distance. We manifest this distance from it. And what I'm getting at is that in the same way that I feel that enlightenment is not something you gain, it's not like you do something and all of a sudden you get this gem. Enlightenment is unfolding all the layers of yourself, unraveling all these boundaries to get back to this default human experience, which is enlightenment. It is the pure human state of absolute harmony and absolute connectivity. In that same sense, perhaps this walking hand in hand with God idea of being embraced by the divine regularly is actually also at the root of the human experience, and rather it is societal conditionings as well as traumas and struggles that we all go through which causes this perceived distance from it. I say that because it just feels so natural to be there, so natural to just snuggle up. It's that same feeling as like going to sleep or something. You know, you rest up in your bed and like, finally, my pillow and covers and whatnot. That divine warmth is just always there, and we can snuggle up to it. And if it truly does feel that natural, and it truly is just right there waiting for us to just let go and experience, then why would it be any different than this model of enlightenment, which I've adapted, being that it is at the root of human experience. Perhaps if we let go of all of our boundaries, let go of our conditioning, and proceed towards harmony through time, what we do is shed all these disharmonies, shed all these illusions, and perhaps we're left in this enlightened state, touching on to the metaphor idea of the Garden of Eden, living in a garden among God, among the divine. Thank you all for joining me for this. I didn't read all the comments, but I will a little bit. I gotta get some work done, but I feel a lot more rested, feeling good about this, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to experience this, and also to have this community of you people to ramble about it with. And I hope that these words and ideas might be of some use to you. Take them and do with what you will. These are all just ideas and concepts, and they're open for refinement, and by all means I would like them to be expanded on so that I can learn from you all as well. Have a blessed night.